Just a quick test. This is Stacy, or as Lisa likes to call me, Cece, with Only 2 Degrees and caloriesandwine.net. And I am here today with Peter Poole, president, owner, Vitis Consulting. Vitis? Viticulture, Vitis Consulting. That was a faux pas, wasn't it?
Yes.
You going to forgive me?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I hear it constantly.
Well, the first thing you asked me is if we edit, and now I wish we did.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. It depends on what part of Latium, I guess you are, which how you pronounce Vitis.
Or whether you're from Oklahoma.
That's
or
right.
New Orleans. Okay, so we are sitting here, and you are the founder of the Temecula Valley Quality Wine Association.
I'm one of the founders.
One of the founders, and a viticulturalist.
Yes.
Which I'm slurring again. I haven't even started drinking.
Viticulturist.
Tell us a little bit more, because you're obviously more eloquent at this time of day than I am.
The group was put together with wineries that have a good deal of experience here in the valley. And I think they're wineries that probably, if it weren't for this, would look for other ways to work together as well. So they seem to be compatible in working together and promoting something they believe in, and that thing turns out to be quality in the wines. And so the idea here was that apart from tourism or anything of that sort, that this organization really just focuses on the quality of the wines that are being produced.
Now, the Temecula Valley isn't really known for their quality of wine. I mean, some of the wines are, but historically, if you go up to Napa and say that I grow wine in the Temecula Valley, they look at you and their little noses get crinkled. And
these perceptions are interesting, and like a lot of things, Napa Valley's not really quite as good as everybody believes, and Temecula Valley's not as bad as everybody.
I'm with you on both of those. It's perfect.
And I wouldn't say everybody. I think it is changing. Once you have a perception, and this comes largely from the early days here, where there were some things that were below standard. But it's changing quite a bit. We have a winery here in the valley that just won California Winery of the Year at the California State Fair. That means they won the most awards of any winery. South Coast Winery, and it's a combination and the scoring of the number of awards and the value of the awards, so double golds and things like this, which they were winning. So there's, I think in the early days, what we looked at was problems caused perhaps by amateurism in the industry, and unfortunately some people felt that had something to do with the climate and soil in Temecula, and it most definitely doesn't.
No, now, as a viticulturist, that's really your forte. Getting to know what grapes are growing here. I noticed that there's a bunch of New Zinfandel being grown that used to be grown that was taken out. What else is happening as far as the harvest? And
well, over a period of time here, there's been a shift to a large degree to some of the varieties that you wouldn't have even found in California vineyards when the Temecula Valley wine industry was founded. So you're seeing a lot of varieties like Syrah and Sangiovese, Roussan. These are generally termed Mediterranean varietals. And so we have a fairly warm climate here, and they really fit. In the areas where those are grown successfully, you can find temperatures as warm or warmer than in Temecula. I think Tempranillo is a very good example, and that's one that'll probably be up and coming here. So those are some of the changes. I think in general, as the quality of California wine moves upwards and the Temecula Valley growers and winemakers become more professional, they move up with the industry, and in some cases are very up to date with what's happening. And that's what we try to make sure, that people don't fall behind the curve on this.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So as we change and as we grow and as we tend to adapt ourselves to what our climate is really meant for, do you feel that the quality of the wine will just follow? or do you see a shift over on that side as well?
Well, I think
Does that make sense?
I think the quality of the wine will follow.
Shift naturally, or just...
Well, no, nothing happens on its own. This is all
Not
gonna
organically.
This is all going to be human effort, and but there are examples around the world because you have the biggest thing. There are any number of factors that go into growing good grapes, and you can never discount the human factor. But no matter who you are, you can't change the climate, and it's somewhat less difficult, but still very difficult to change the soils. They're pretty much what they are.
It is what it is.
And so these are the things you have to work with. And so certainly the climate in Temecula is not what you would consider to be a classic viticultural climate. And by classic, I mean the ones that turn out world-famous type wines. But this is not really...
It's not really an old world climate.
Well,
Well,
there are plenty of places in
Italy
the old world that aren't classic either.
true.
If you run the length of Italy, I mean, really, in Italy, there are two areas that are considered to be classic. The Langhe and the Piedmont, which is where Barolo and Barbaresco come from, and also in Tuscany, the regions there, Chianti Classico, places like that. So now, due to human efforts and due to studying what needs to be done and making the kind of adjustments, Classico, places like that. So now, due to human efforts and due to studying what needs to be done and making the kind of adjustments you mentioned, even in Europe, there are plenty of places turning out some really high quality that were not part of this classic, original classic thing, that their climate doesn't quite fit. Sicily is a very good example. High quality wines coming out of Sicily, not a classic climate. They've had to make adjustments. Many parts of Spain. Spain is really up and coming, and I've got climate graphs that I've done that really you can almost lay the Temecula climate graph over the climate graph of, say, La Mancha in Spain. And so this tells you something, and they've made adjustments just as we're making them here, and you can make excellent wines outside of this more narrow classic definition.
I have to tell you, I've been drinking some of the best Grenaches from Spain. The Garnacha, oh my heavens, that's just so delightful when it comes out of that climate. Any future for that here?
Oh yeah,
I noticed I've seen some rosés of Grenache through the valley, but I haven't seen a full 100%.
I've got a client who's not a winery, is a vineyard that I consult with, who has a Grenache block, and it's there's definitely a future
so
for that here.
So dry, like a traditional rosé would be. I love that.
Well, the rosés are easy to make well. It's got a nice fruit quality. The flavor is quite bright. It tends to have a little higher acidity, which is nice with a rosé. The problem with making red wine, and there are excellent Grenache or Grenache-based red wines, is that it's difficult to get the grape to color up so much. That's why it's so easy to make a rosé out of it.
Interesting.
So it's not a dark-colored grape, but I'm finding as we're working with this variety that there are adjustments that can be made, and we can increase the color. And I think we're going to be able to make some really good red wines, but you won't be able to just do the standard everyday thing in growing it. You'll have to make some adjustments in the vineyard.
And so you're going to have to know what you're doing.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Peter. I can't wait to hear more about this, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, great. This was a pleasure.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay.